Hi, I'm Theo with Audioholics. JVC is in the house. I have JVC's DLA-RS3100, also known as the DLA-NZ8, in for a full review. In this episode, I'll be giving you an overview of the DLA-RS3100's features and onboard tech as a precursor to my full review of the RS3100, which I'll be pairing with a Stewart film screen Studio Tech 130 G4 with Stewart's new Ultra Perf acoustically transparent perforation option. So stay tuned and I'll be right back. Welcome back. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. And if you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and post your questions or comments below. Let's get started. JVC's RS3100 and NZ8 are the same functional unit. I'll refer to the JVC as the NZ8 as it's what you'll find in many forums, and it's just shorter to say in most of this review. The NZ8 retails for $15,999, and for a limited time, you can grab the NZ8 for $2,000 off the MSRP for $13,999. The NZ8 sits at the sweet spot between the $8,999 NZ7 and the $25,999 flagship NZ9. And in case you're wondering, yes, JVC is running a Black Friday special on the NZ9 for $3,000 off for $22,999. If any of this special pricing is of interest, just go down into the video description and you can click on the links with our authorized channel partner. What makes JVC's NZ line special is jettisoning a traditional lamplight source and replacing it with a cutting-edge fluorescent laser light. Pack that on top of JVC's industry-leading tone mapping, 8K E-Shift technology, HDR10 Plus support, and 8K 60 Hz, 4K 120 Hz, and a forthcoming major firmware update, and you have the makings of a spectacular home theater projector that will serve both movie lovers and hardcore gamers. Let's take a look at the NZ8's physical footprint and design. The projector is large at 19 11/16 wide, 19 29/32 deep. With the feet on, it's about 9 7/32 high. Remove the feet for a ceiling mount like I've done, and the height is about 8 5/16. The NZ8 weighs in at just over a whopping 50 pounds. If you're replacing a previous projector with the NZ8 and plan to ceiling mount it like I did, make sure that you have a projector mount rated to support the NZ8's weight. The NZ8 has a 17 element 15 group all glass lens that measures 65 millimeters in diameter with a full aluminum lens barrel. The large all glass lens helps the projector maintain up to 8K resolution edge to edge, while the lens on the NZ8 is the same size as the NZ7. The NZ8's lens features ultra high contrast optics that reduce internal light reflections and improves image quality over the NZ7. The NZ8 likewise features an illumination iris, which improves contrast. The projector's rear panel has an IR port, manual controls, a 12-volt trigger output for controlling motorized screens, an Ethernet jack for auto calibration purposes, a USB service port, which will also have a very special feature with the upcoming firmware, RS-232 control, and 2 HDMI inputs and a 3D port. The NZ8 will support 3D Blu-ray content with the addition of a $99 adapter. Now, all models in the NZ series support HDMI 2.1 and HDCP 2.3. While that seems to be standard fare these days, here's the big news you should pay special attention to. The NZ8 does so at the full 48 gigabits per second bandwidth spec of HDMI 2.1. Many products, even though they state they support HDMI 2.1, only support up to 40 gigabits per second of bandwidth. Now, the NZ8 sports an updated remote control design. I've used the DLA-X570R for years, and I really appreciate the remote's updated look and feel. The JVC NZ8 is a native 4K projector. However, JVC's eShift technology takes that native 4K chipset and doubles the projected image effective resolution by shifting each pixel by half a pixel. I've used JVC's eShift technology in the past, and it's always been impressive. But with the NZ8, aka the RS3100, JVC takes eShift performance to a whole different level. JVC's eShift previously used 2 diagonal directions to scale images. The eShift feature on the NZ8 uses 4 directions: up, down, left, and right. That 4-way shifting enables the NZ8 to display 8K signal information in its entirety. There's no faux K as there was with the previous generation. JVC's latest eShift technology on the NZ8 likewise doubles the speed of JVC's shifting from 120 Hz to 240 Hz. Enhanced resolution is one of the first things that just jumped out at me when I first powered on the NZ8. JVC is absolutely correct when they say that their new eShift delivers an image with an enhanced sense of three-dimensionality and immersion. I noticed it on everything that I threw at it, from the Apple TV 4K's menu to 4K UHD movie content. The NZ8 RS3100 features a dynamic iris and 12-bit processing. The NZ8 is rated to deliver 2500 ANSI lumens with an 80,000 to 1 native contrast ratio and infinity to 1 dynamic contrast ratio. The NZ8 will cover 100% of Rec. 709 and 100% of the DCI-P3 color gamut by engaging the projector's color filter. You'll get a bit of a hit in light output with the color filter engaged, but you do get the full coverage of the DCI color gamut. And of course, the NZ8 is ISF certified. The big news here on the NZ8 is the laser phosphor light source, which JVC calls fluorescent. The onboard laser's life is rated for 20,000 hours. Or put another way, you can watch a movie a day for the next 20 years before the laser goes out. Unlike traditional lamp sources, once the laser's gone, it can't be replaced. The NZ7, NZ8, and NZ9 feature the latest proprietary blue laser diode light source, fluorescent. This technology is featured in JVC professional projectors, and these are the ones that are often chosen for simulator applications. That's now been adopted for their home theater projectors. You'll get 2500 ANSI lumens from the NZ8, and the NZ9 tops out at a brightness of 3000 lumens. Increased brightness means a better HDR experience as well as compatibility with larger screens. What's more, with the fluorescent laser, JVC has increased peak brightness while projecting HDR sources. Watching HDR content on the NZ8 truly does create a wonderful sense of dynamic range and renders content with better definition and a greater sense of depth and dimensionality. Let's talk motion. JVC's Clear Motion Drive reduces ghosting, and the NZ8 sports JVC's most advanced version yet. JVC says that the improved algorithm on their Clear Motion Drive now references more frames to increase motion prediction and reduce frame latency. I noticed this improvement when watching a variety of content, and so you can appreciate it, let me show you how effective JVC's Clear Motion Drive is on this torture test from the new Spears and Munsill Ultra HD Benchmark Blu-ray. This ticker torture test is just brutal in person, and you're just getting a small sense of how effective the clear motion drive is with this screen. This test of Sarah on the hammock is nasty in person. My DSLR is actually reducing the motion blur, and clear motion drive, again, is the real deal. The NZ8 features 4K 120p input. That means that signal latency is basically infinitesimal. You can therefore use the NZ8 for displaying high frame rate gaming content on large screens, which is just fantastic. The NZ8 is not limited to just gaming. The low latency mode reduces delays when you connect any PC signal, and this low latency will improve responses to any rapid operations that you throw at it. What about calibration? The NZ8's overall performance is very good out of the box. To maximize your investment in a projector as special as the NZ8, you'll certainly want to get the projector calibrated. True to form, JVC offers free their projector calibration software, which is a Windows-based software that works with either an X-Rite i1 Pro 2 or a Datacolor Spider X. And when used in conjunction with JVC's projector software, it will automatically calibrate the NZ8 in mere minutes for both HDR and SDR content. Speaking of HDR, let's talk a little bit about the NZ8's HDR support. HDR10 is on board, as is HLG, and the exciting news is support for HDR10 Plus. That means you can purchase the latest generation of an Apple TV 4K and take full advantage of HDR10 Plus content. When it comes to HDR, tone mapping is what makes the image shine on screen, and JVC's tone mapping is probably the best you'll find on any projector. JVC's Frame Adapt HDR technology uses a proprietary algorithm to analyze the maximum brightness of HDR10 content on a frame-by-frame basis, and then adjust the dynamic range in real time to the optimum range for video projection on projectors. The JVC says that they have completely re-examined the tone mapping algorithm in accordance with the scene and frame, and have achieved HDR images with higher definition, and they give you that three-dimensional full feeling by suppressing whiteness, especially in the high brightness areas. Finally, let's talk firmware. JVC is one of the few companies that expands the technology feature set and life of their products after purchase through frequent firmware updates. At CEDIA in September, JVC announced a significant leap forward in the company's Frame Adapt HDR. Frame Adapt HDR Gen 2 will be part of a firmware update slated for release in mid-November 2023. That means that the firmware will either be coming out shortly or it will have already come out by the time you see this video. The new firmware brings improved bright whites and better black levels. And in this next evolution of HDR image processing, JVC says they've completely re-examined the tone mapping algorithm in accordance with the scene and frame, and they've achieved HDR images with higher definition and a three-dimensional feeling by suppressing the peak white information, especially in high brightness areas. Optimizing the tone curve reduces whitening in the high brightness areas and provides a fine image with no color loss. That's really the big deal. Other enhancements that you'll see through the firmware update will be the laser light source adjustment, which will now be finely adjusted according to the environment and end user preference. You'll have 0 to 100 steps for fine tuning compared to the 3-step adjustments that are currently loaded as part of the firmware on the projector now, and adjustments based on the brightness on screen and according to the environment will also be possible. The new firmware will also bring a USB backup function, so you can save and write all settings at once. You'll be able to save the main unit settings to a commercially available USB memory stick, and professional adjustments can be saved or backed up in advance, so that way you can undo any unintended adjustments you make on the projector. In summary, the RS3100, aka the NZ8, may very well be the Goldilocks projector in JVC's lineup. It offers significant performance enhancements over the NZ7 and sports many of the drool-worthy features found in JVC's flagship NZ9. The NZ8's fluorescent laser, color filter for 100% DCI coverage, 2500 ANSI lumens, frame adapt HDR, 240 Hz 8K eShift X, and superior optics promise to make this the go-to projector for today's cutting-edge home theater. Stay tuned for my full review of the NZ8 coming up here on Audioholics in the near future. But in the meantime, I'll tell you, in the short time that I've had the NZ8, I've been mightily impressed. So remember, keep listening. And don't forget our Patreon channel at patreon.com/audioholics. We appreciate your support. You'll get direct access to us, you can ask questions, and you can even suggest topics for future programs.